Don't place a trade based on what you're seeing in this video because there is no guarantees of making a profit in the market. It takes you a long time to become a good trader. So this video here is just to educate you to become a much better trader. Hey traders, John Howell here. Today we're going to be looking at conflicting signals. What I'm actually getting potentially bearish divergence in the markets right now in the S&P 500 and the Dow, but the Nasdaq looks like it could be potentially breaking out. We're getting fundamentals that says much higher prices. So what's going on right now and what do I think is going to happen moving forward? And that's what I want to focus on in today's video when it comes to the stock market. Now, let's actually start here firstly of the good old stock market. We're going to look at the Dow Jones first. And we have a daily chart to the left and we have a weekly chart to the right, all right? So we can see, yeah, your left, obviously left and right. And one thing that we can see is that we're looking at the Dow Jones is that we can see that the Dow Jones has been making a very, very big movement to the upside. All right, you can see that on the weekly chart there. You can see how clearly that has been going to the upside. Now, if we look at the daily charts, we can see that the daily chart has sort of been flattening out a little bit here right now since basically the start of the year. Just really been flattening out, not really much going on. Now, here's the really interesting thing. When it comes to the stock market, one thing I'm noticing about the stock market is that if I bring up, let me see if I can bring up, do I have that chart? No, I don't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this over here. Let me bring this chart up here for you for a minute. And I want to share this with you. Now, this is obviously, there's a couple of different indicators here that I like to use. Forget the stochastics here for a minute, okay? I just want you to focus on the RSI. Now, here's the thing, guys, is that I personally don't use the indicators to do a lot of drawing on. I don't use those indicators. I think the chart is the number one thing to focus on. But we're starting to get a lot of potential divergences across the board when it comes to the stock market. So there's starting to potentially be weakness in the markets. And this is exactly what happened with Bitcoin. I'll get to Bitcoin in a minute, but you notice it's the same thing with Bitcoin. As Bitcoin was making highs, we're starting to see weaknesses slowly come into the market. So is this one indicator telling us we're about to see a major pullback in the markets? Call it a correction. Because if we can see this, look at this here. If I squeeze up, notice how the market is continuing to rise up. But look what's been happening. Look what's been happening here. So we continue to rise up through here. Right? But look what's happening with the RSI. Notice how we actually are diverging coming down through there. So that's actually we're getting that weaknesses coming into the RSI. Now again, guys, I don't use the RSI to trade with, but I like to watch it to give me, okay, what's going on here? Should I be cautious around these levels or should I be more aggressive? And noticing that when the market's making new highs, but we're getting these divergent signals, there's a potential for things to start to unwind. Now that's the indicator there. What I would want to see is I'd want to see something confirming of the chart. Now, what does that mean? In an upward market, as you can see, we make these higher lows, and higher lows all the way up. So the thing is, we're getting weakness in the RSI. We're saying that potentially danger. The confirmation for me to say, okay, we could be getting ready to roll over here is a breaking of the low. So if I get a breaking, this was the last low, and this is a higher low. So if we get a breaking of this low here, and we're getting the RSI doing that, that tells me now that we're now probably due for a correction. All right, we're probably due for a correction, and it might be 10 to 15% from the high on the Dow Jones, and we see that big deep pullback, and that's what I see. Now, guys, with that being said, I don't see this being the major top. I see this being a short-term, mid-term correction, and if it did happen over the next month or two, I see a racing bull market towards the end of the year. So if that does happen, this one indicator is actually screaming to us that we could be getting ready for a movement to the downside. So keep an eye on that, guys, because it really is screaming that. Now, if I look at that's the Dow Jones. If I look at the S&P 500, this is the S&P. Once again, you can see on this weekly chart to the right, we've actually made a very big move. So we're actually very, very high. We've been going up for quite some time. And once again, you can see what's been happening here with the RSI as well too. Now, we haven't actually gotten any confirmation yet, but as you can see here, we're definitely moving up when it comes to when it comes to the stock market. But look what's happening here, right? Look what's happening here. So we've had a very, very nice movement to the upside. But look what's happening here with this RSI. We could be developing a bit of weakness all through here. So I'm not saying that there's definitely going to be a sell-off in the markets, because there may not be, especially with the whole fundamentals that's happening right now. I definitely don't see we're at a major top. We may see a short-term correction, but we're definitely not at a major top. But it's just something to be a caution of, that we may be seeing that. Now, once again, guys, this is just an indicator to say that there's weakness coming in the markets. What we need to see the chart pattern to confirm that weakness. And so that a confirmation, once again, is this previous low. So if we bring up this drawing indicator again, low, higher low, higher low, higher low, and higher low. So if the S&P does hold here and we start to break below this 4,100, that this weakness on the RSI is definitely going to kick in. And it's definitely going to start to see things being pretty unstable in the market. So that's definitely something you want to keep an eye out for. And if that's the case, you're probably going to see a 10 to 15% correction in the markets. And then away we go for the next big bull run. I don't believe we're at the top of the markets yet. And again, this divergence may be just slight divergence, because we've had these divergences in the past and they've just completely unwind and we've gone to a big bull market. So this is just a warning. This one indicator is giving us a warning about what may happen in the future. But we need to see the price action, the chart, to confirm that warning as well too. But if we look at the Nasdaq, let's have a look at the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq's doing something different. The Nasdaq there's no divergences here with the Nasdaq. Nothing's really going on. The thing we are getting here with the Nasdaq, if I just bring up the charts with no RSI, is we're getting this squeezing of this triangle pattern. Now the Nasdaq to me is the Nasdaq is really interesting. The Nasdaq is not giving us divergence. The Nasdaq it's developing this triangle pattern, and the Nasdaq looks like it's about to break out, and we start to make some really, really significant moves to the upside. So this triangle pattern, we're about to see a very, very strong breakout of the triangle pattern, and it's going to explode. Nasdaq's going to explode. Now, are we going to break down? I doubt it. I would say probability, there's a 70 to 80% chance we're going to break up and race to my target, which is 16,000. To give us a bit more confirmation of that, I would want to see a break above this 14,500 level, looking at that level through here. And so once we can get that level, then it's going to give me confidence that all this squeezing up into this triangle pattern, either way, we're going to see a big movement. I doubt it's going to be down because of all the stimulus and all the 0% interest rates, and we're in the mix of this squeezing pattern. I truly believe that this third and fourth quarter this year, we're going to see an economic explosion back into an explosion back into the tech sector, and this is going to see Nasdaq probably race towards the 16,000 level. And so that's what I'm seeing through there. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this warning up to you guys with the stock market, which is really, really, really weird, right? You can see the tech sector and the actual Dow Jones S&P, they're doing something different. S&P and the S&P and the Dow Jones have been making really nice moves to the upside. Bit flat for the last month, but the Nasdaq's been squeezing up with this triangle pattern, and it looks like we're about to start to see some really, really strong movement in the market. So we need to keep an eye on for what's going on. And the reason why I say that is if we actually, let me bring this chart up through here. All right, so I'm going to bring this chart up through here, and let me actually bring up let's actually bring this up. So the Bitcoin is going to be, we're going to bring the Bitcoin chart up, and we're going to bring the Bitcoin chart up. So the chart to the left is obviously the weekly chart. The chart to the right is obviously the daily charts. Now, let me actually see, can I open this up a bit more? No, it won't let me. All right, let me just go to single pen then. There we go, cool. All right, so look at this here. So notice how, let me take that off the screen for a minute. Notice how that as the market was making highs, higher highs, higher highs, and higher highs, like the S&P 500 is doing, notice how the RSI is now continuing to make lower highs, and lower highs, and lower highs, right? You can see here. But look, this was the confirmation. Remember saying before, we have the warning, which is the lower highs in the markets on the RSI, giving us, you know what, something may be coming around the corner, which may see a default movement to the downside. But remember what I said on the Dow Jones and the S&P. right? The Dow Jones and the S&P, even though we're making lower highs in the RSI, we need to see what? We need to see a breaking of the low. So if I open up my charts here for a minute, where was the breaking of the low? We had a low, higher low, higher low, higher low. Look at this here. That was the what? That was the breaking of the low with this movement here. And then we saw a pretty big movement down towards the 30,000 level, and we may have a lot more downside to come. So the RSI has given us this one indicator, has given us a big warning of a pullback, but we need to see the chart to confirm that. Once we get this confirmation of breaking of lows, then we know the bull market's over, just like Bitcoin, and then we're probably likely to start to see at least a midterm correction before we start to see a movement up. So I hope you enjoyed this video today, guys. If you'd like to learn how I trade the markets, I'm running a training today, and on that training, I'm going to teach you the number one thing that took me from losing a lot of money to actually making money. The one thing that you must know if you are losing money. Second thing I'm going to teach you is my actual trading system. All the details to it. No matter if you trade the Forex market, the futures market, crypto market, you want to use options, you can trade this. And also I'm going to be teaching you exactly how I scan the markets to find these trades. I do my trading within just 1 hour per day. And so if you're interested in learning how I trade the markets with a high probability trading system, and if you're interested in learning to see how I actually scan the markets to find these trades and see my scanning tool and so on and so forth, then there should be a link here. We'll go to John's, JOHNS, livetraining.com, JOHNS, livetraining.com. Go there, register for my next training, and I will see you guys real soon.